Hello everyone, and welcome back to a new installment of Why Did I Lose? The Prismata series in which I analyze viewer games and tell you why I think you lost. Before we get started, a couple reminders, not exactly announcements since I've announced them before, but things I should be saying at the beginning of every one of these videos and I always forget. First, well, really they're all just about how do you, if you want me to watch a game of yours and analyze it for you, what should you do? Well, if it is after June 10th, 2018, this mini-series is over. I am not accepting new submissions, but who can say? Maybe in the future I have started another such series, and if so, there should be an announcement video of it somewhere on the channel. Go find that announcement video and submit your replays there. If it is not yet June 11th, 2018, that is, say if it is the 10th or earlier, I am still accepting submissions, but not on this video. Please, as described in the first video in this playlist, announcing a new Why Did I Lose series, submit your replays attached as comments to the first video in this playlist, or on my Reddit post, or you can find me on Discord if you are really keen on doing that. So, all that said, let's get into this replay, which was sent to us by HotPepper. And HotPepper writes quite a bit about the game, but I am not going to read it until I am done playing the game against, analyzing the set and playing it against MasterBot. I don't want to bias my thinking about how to play the set. By the way, I just recorded an entire Why Did I Lose where I didn't remember to hit the load from replay button, and so I was playing just some random set that was not the one HotPepper has played. And then I went and started to read his comments, and I was like, this makes no sense at all. He was talking about Centurion, and there was no Centurion in the set. It was kind of a cool game, but, you know, MasterBot played it completely wrong, so who can say whether I played that set right? But the good news is it didn't matter, because no one cared about it. Alright, so here we are against MasterBot. What's going on here? Let's look first at the biggest absorbers, or at the available absorbers. That's usually a good guide to economy size, right? Here, the only one is Centurion, unless you count a Borehole Patroller, which you should not use to guide your economy size. If you're going Borehole Patrollers, you have Walls available, and that's a better absorber than Borehole. So, we either are getting Centurion, in which case we want a quite large economy, or we are not getting it, in which case we want a fairly small economy. Plexocell nudges things a little bit in the high direction, since it's a good defensive unit that can let you use the drones that you built as defense. So, the question is, can you get Centurion here? Flame Animus is good Centurion support, right? You don't have to commit to a whole Animus, and there's, like, not that much red stuff that you want here. So that could be a thing. But, I mean, also, you could just buy, like, 2 Flame Animuses if you want more red. And usually, like, in most Centurion sets, you should get a Centurion. It's just a very good unit, and there's not that many incredible counters to it. I guess I should say, since I try to avoid reading, sometimes people send a comment that's like, that clearly explains what happened in the game as their question, and I try to avoid reading those that give too much away before I've analyzed the set. Sometimes it's like a short enough thing. I don't know. In this case, since I thought I had finished playing the game, I did read the beginning of HotPepper's question, which is basically like HotPepper went for Centurion and lost. So against an opponent who did not mirror. I didn't read the details of how that all happened, but looking at it, I would have to say that what is there in this set that will make Centurion bad is a question that we should be asking even if we haven't heard how HotPepper's game turned out. The two things leap out at me for that, which are Tatsu and Blood Rager. Okay, also Frostbite. three things. One of the things that Centurion will do to defend itself is it will want to build Plexos, right? You have all this spare green laying around, you have a ton of drones. Plexo is great. But Tatsu and Frostbite threaten to make Plexo cells a very, very bad play. Right? If your opponent has the capacity to freeze for 4, they can make your Plexo cells look very bad. Further, is that Centurions absorb if it is frozen. If it can be regularly frozen, it is the unit is much weaker, of course. So that would happen against an opponent with 2 Tatsus. Also, Centurion has to be careful about having all of its other stuff frozen in order to breach Centurion. So if the opponent has a few Frostbites lying around, that they can... Basically, every Frostbite cancels out a wall that you build, in a way, because the Centurion player really is in a position where they can never afford to be breached. Because if you... Here, the only big defenders you can really build are walls, and those are all quite susceptible to Frostbites. So your opponent can spend 2 red to cancel out 5 blue of your defenses from the point of view of breaching you for your Centurion, which would be pretty much lights out. Even though you're not dead yet, you have a bunch of walls that were frozen, you've lost your main advantage, which is the big absorb. So the other thing here that threatens to hurt Centurion is Blood Rager, right? You can deny the opponent's Centurion absorb, even if you don't have Tatsus keeping it frozen, at least for a while. When you have 3 attack, you can deny their wall, and it'll get you up to like 5 attack, probably, maybe 6. If the opponent builds a Centurion anytime in there, you can probably afford to build 2 Blood Ragers, as long as you haven't gone like super, super low econ. And you should see them going for Centurion and try to arrange to be able to double Blood Rager when they get there. So, that seems like a lot of counters to Centurion, but Centurion is just like really good, and we saw some support for it, right? There's sort of like 2 halves. Actually, Plexo you could see play in either side. But there's sort of like, do you go for all this stuff? Or do you go for a bunch of this stuff? And either player could have access to Plexo, but if your opponent has Tatsus or Frostbites, you can't use Plexo. Actually, even once you have more than 6 attack, Blood Rager can still be a threat, because it can deny Plexo value. Even if you can't freeze the Plexo, you can Blood Rager it. Right? Even if you have like 9 or 10 attack, if your opponent Plexos while they have Centurion, that's like 9 absorb. And so if you have less attack than that, any attack you throw away is like free. And so getting Blood Ragers is great value. So I don't know, like if I saw this come up in a ranked game, I wouldn't have this much time to analyze. What would I go for? I'd probably say, you know what, Flame Animus into Centurion looks pretty bonkers. On the other hand, Flame Animus helps the other strat too, doesn't it? Ooh. What if you could get like 2 Flame Animuses? Oh, wow. 2 Flame Animuses and an Animus into Tatsus? Or like 2 Flame Animuses and a Steel Splitter to get you a Blood Rager? It seems pretty good, right? Actually, you're probably not going mono red, you're going red blue. Yeah. You could just spend all your blue for several turns on building Flame Animuses. You might buy all 4 of them, honestly. And that's how you get to Tatsu? Huh. That does seem kind of cool. I think that in this set, I'm not sure whether Centurion is playable. It might be. Maybe Centurion is the winner here, even though HotPepper lost with it. But there are so few sets where Centurion is bad that when I see one where it seems like it might be bad, I'd sort of like to try to beat it, just to get some experience with how that works. You know, I could also try to get experience with losing as Centurion, but that doesn't teach me as much, right? Because it could just mean I played badly. If you can play well and beat Centurion, that tells you that, like, yeah, Centurion was probably not that great. So I'm inclined to go for the red thing. And an opponent who is going for Centurion will give me plenty of time to just spend my blue on Flame Animuses, right? So we go like this. And the question is, do we build a Flame Animus on turn 2? We have to cut a drone for it. Often you want to do that, and we'll be going for a sort of mid to low econ thing, I think. Although we'd kind of like to spend 17 bucks on, like, Wall Tatsu, wouldn't we? So maybe we shouldn't be cutting a drone for it. Yeah, especially if we want to build one every turn for a while. Okay. So I think I'm just going to float 4 bucks. Well, but Plexo cells are good, right? I don't think I'm going to float. I think I'll get the Natural Animus into Natural Conduit and then Flame Animuses. Okay. Noteworthy. Opponent is going red. They're not going for Centurion, so that's important to know. Yeah. I could actually buy a Blast Forge here so that I can wall Flame Animus. I don't really want 2 blue. Wow, this looks exactly like Centurion, except without the 3rd Engie. What I'm doing here. Huh. I mean, my build was planned around the opponent not doing this, around them going for, like, Centurion. Them going mono red seems just generally bad. If you want red, you should get it through Flame Animus. But yeah, I mean, Tatsus and Blood Ragers will be a lot worse against this, and so I guess we can just go Plexo and Centurion ourselves? If I'm doing that, maybe I shouldn't get the second Blast Forge. I should just drone more. I was thinking Blast Forge so I can, like, wall Flame Animus or something. Obviously, Centurion does require 2 blue, and so if we're getting it, we'll need a second blue. But it doesn't really want to be next turn anyway, in that case. I'll just build a wall next turn and, like, more drones. Maybe a Blast Forge, depending. And I guess he's just going to let me win with Centurion. But I don't know, if he tries to get Tatsu, I'll be impressed, I suppose. And it will be a pretty good turn to get Centurion, won't it? No, because he can Blood Rager pretty well. Maybe we put it off a little longer? To do what, though, right? Just more Flame Animuses. Sure. Or boreholes or something, I don't know. Probably not. Oh, he has 5 attack. Alright, you got me, I'll build it. Gonna make it that good for me, I'll take it. I know, you're gonna Blood Rager me, but you're still wasting some damage. He's transitioning into Frostbites pretty well. Oh man, can he double Blood Rager? He can, actually. Yikes. Oh, I can Blood Rager? Is that good? It's alright. Two, 3, 5 damage next turn. If I wanted to double Blood Rager, I would have to add an attack this turn, but I don't see any compelling reason to do that. I expect him to Blood Rager me again, and so the fact, like, if he doesn't, 7 damage is a bit awkward for me to deal with. NG onto Centurion, but I don't think I'll actually have to do that. Oh, well, okay, I had to do it. So 7 is 3, 4. Not perfect, but I guess I'll take it. Borehole and Frostbite? Ooh, Husk actually. Is Husk good? No, right? Yeah, it does not help me to build a Husk. Probably should be Tarsier, honestly. Or what about Force Field? Then if he doesn't freeze anything, I can defend well. He can spend his Frostbite to freeze Force Field, dealing 1 damage, but that's not that great for him. Yeah, Master Watt doesn't understand how to freeze. Wait a minute. Oh, he attacked for only 6. Okay. Fine. He built a Centurion. Well done. 8 damage. 9's a bit awkward for him. Yeah. Although, should I be looking at this? Double Blood Rager. 9 is 5, 8. Yeah. 5, 7, 9. I guess. Actually, it's only 8, right? So I don't need any of this. He can't attack with the Rhino because it's dead. Oh no, and not if I Blood Rager him. Maybe I shouldn't Blood Rager. Do this to make him lose the Rhino. Then he attacks for 8, which is very comfortable for me. And Frostbites and Boreholes. And a Flame Animals. I don't know. He can't be happy about all these Frostbites. So right now he's absorbing for what? 5, 9? So Blood Ragers are pretty good at the moment. And I'll just put a Husk out there. And all this freeze is suddenly a big problem. We have 8 effective freeze and a Pixie. Isn't that enough? Yeah. Alright, well, he should be giving up any minute now. 7 is just another Husk. And Tarsier's, I guess. I don't know. I'm badly overtech'd, but who cares? He gives up. Fine. So that's not really how I think the set should go at all. But I hope that the reading at the beginning, anyway, was useful. In the interplay between the Centurion player and the Absorb Denial player. With the, like, red stuff. Okay. Let's see what HotPepper has to say before we watch the replay. I'd thought this was a Centurion game, but my opponent opened fairly aggressively, and with Frostbite and Blood Rager in that set, I concluded it wasn't going to be high econ. I wish I had squeezed in a conduit somewhere for force fields. By the time I realized that, it was too late, and I was expending all my money defending against Frostbite threat. It was a very close game where we both ran each other out of Rhino and Wall Supply, at which point I was the first who couldn't defend anymore and lost. My opponent constantly had 1 attack over me, but I had no way to catch up with him in damage, not as far as I can see. Why did I lose? Well, I mean, I know why I lost. I suppose my question is better framed as, what could I have done to win? Also, there was a mistake made on turn 17, which is obviously a mistake, but didn't matter, because the game was over. Alright, so let's grab this replay code and see what we have to say here. Opponent opened aggressively, and then I realized it wasn't going to be high econ. What does this mean exactly? What's the player 1 aggressive opening? I guess like turn 2 Blast Forge? responded with Fastimus, which I don't know about. I think like Flame Animus is just really, really good, and I'd rather just mirror it here, like get a Blast Forge and then start building Flame Animuses. But okay, Fastimus, fine. So now you guys can tell I had only read the beginning of HotPepper's message. I thought it was going to be a Centurion game, but my opponent opened aggressively and then I lost, and I didn't realize that HotPepper decided not to go for Centurion after all, seeing the aggressive opening. Okay. And we're set up to Blood Rager, which is cool, I guess. But the opponent denies us that value by building a Rhino instead. It's probably still okay to Blood Rager, isn't it? Like, it gives the opponent 2 NGs, but you get 2 attack per turn forever. You could Blood Rager Rhino instead of getting the wall. I mean, I'm not convinced it's amazing, but it's a thing you could do. Right, instead of getting the Blast Forge. Yeah, and the Frostbite, huh? It seems a little early for Frostbite to me. We don't really have any permanent attack. Like, okay, 2 Tarsiers, but I'd rather be building up to more than threatening a single freeze when, like, really, the way things are right now, the opponent doesn't even care if we breach for a little bit with Frostbite, right? Sure, it'll be nice to have eventually. The opponent will probably build some breach vulnerable attackers, but right now it's not threatening anything in the near term. I'd rather just get more attack. And then later, once we actually have a Blast Forge and are having trouble spending all our tech, then sure, buy some Frostbites or 2. It'll probably scare the opponent more by then too, because they might have some Tarsiers or something. But this, I think, gives the opponent too much encouragement to, like, never build Tarsiers. I don't know. Maybe that is just bad for them, though. Maybe they should build Tarsiers anyway. What are what is our opponent doing here with 12 drones, red, red, blue, right? I mean, it's kind of looking like wall. I see. Maybe that's why we aren't getting a Blood Rager yet. It's so that we can still conveniently attack for just 6 on... just 3 on the turn that the opponent buys a wall. Okay. I guess that makes some sense. But... yeah, I mean, I guess we could build Blood Rager wall next turn or something. It feels like we don't have enough drones for all this tech. I guess that's what Frostbites are for, huh? Yeah. Is the opponent gonna actually wall or not? They are. Okay. But they're continuing to make Blood Rager poor value by offering us, like, mild exploits, right? Here we get some free damage for not building a Blood Rager. What? Rhino again? Why are we still getting rhinos? Oh, because the enemy's attacking for 6, huh? Because they Blood Ragered us. This is a defensive rhino. That feels bad. Yeah, more Frostbites. I mean... yeah, we're killing a wall, and then, like, they're not going to have a lot to defend with. The Frostbite will scare them a little. I just worry that we bought rhinos too soon. Apparently, according to the message, they ran out of rhino supply, right? Is that correct? Rhino and wall, yeah. There we go, there's the Blood Rager. Okay. It's a good Blood Rager, for sure. Not a big deal, of course, but Husk is strictly better than Engineer here. I don't see it mattering in any universe, but you might as well just do the thing that's better. Unless you're worried about Husk supply, which I really don't know about. Oh! Hang on. Could we have built a Husk this turn instead of a Rhino? I mean, it would offer a breach. Can the opponent take that? Probably. In this line, they didn't, but they could. And if we... Yeah, maybe though... Because rhinos to defend with are just absolute hot garbage. They're so bad. Or at least to soak with them. If they don't attack or absorb, they're really bad. And so I would consider on this turn, cut the rhino. And you can still build a frostbite if you want. Well, so you build one husk, right? And now you're offering a breach. But it's a breach that's kind of hard for your opponent to take. They don't have a lot of defense, and they have to attack with everything to get you. So you could consider just leaving this gambit here and saying, like, come get me if you want. They have to click both of these guys, and they'll have to build some defense. Can they do it? I'm not sure. You can build another husk to prevent that completely. Although, what do you do with your money then, right? You kind of liked this frostbite idea, so you probably, I guess, keep that in your plan. Here, you know, drone seems pretty darn greedy, although, you know, with Rhino coming on to defend, maybe you could do it. You could get a conduit. You were talking about finding a time to fit in a conduit. This could be it. Although, this means you have to offer the gambit. Alternatively, you could do something like this. Leave back a drone and float $3. Rather than like buying an NG, because we figure we'll have enough defense next turn anyway with the Rhino, although, actually no. So, an NG then. Something like this. You could try that. Let's see what happens if we build the husk and actually offer the gambit. Like, how hard is it for the opponent to take advantage, really? Say this happens, right? Now, a wall doesn't defend at all. It just gets frozen. I mean, clearly they can defend. It is a possible thing for them to do. But the wall just gets frozen. If we build 2 rhinos, one gets frozen. We build wall, husk. Husk? We're getting through for 1, which doesn't actually do anything, right? They could even do this to absorb. But then we can just respond by Blood Ragering, I guess, right? Still. They're then threatening to attack for 3-5. Actually, that's just Wall Husk, isn't it? Or Wall Blood Rager Hold Drone would get back to defending for us. The point is, like, this is kind of what the opponent has to do to defend, and if they want to take this gambit. It's kind of hard for them, right? So they might not do it, in which case this is way better than the Rhino. Way better. And we get access to, like, force fields and plexos. So you could try this. If you're feeling less bold, you could cut the conduit, hold a drone, build, I don't know, an NG, and then be easily defended next turn and try to add in some more attack or something. Right, like so. And they'll do something sort of similar to what they did last time in the game, of like this. And I don't know, did they build another Rhino? I don't remember. Maybe it was Tarsier, but probably Rhino. And we just build a quiet Blood Rager. Husk. Flame Animus? We don't need a wall yet, right? It's greedy for sure. You could build a wall. But especially with this Rhino becoming available, I think we would want to be greedy. Yeah, so, I mean, this line of choosing not to build the conduit while instead holding a drone also seems perfectly fine. The opponent can't take advantage of us in any major ways, and we have an okay coming up turn. So, all this to say that this Rhino as a blocker is kind of crummy. I would rather build a Husk and then either offer a Gambit or not. Build a second Frostbite if you want, or do something else, but you can build 2 Husks, you know, as I mentioned. Then you're not building any attack, which is not so great. But okay, let's move on from this turn. That's not necessarily a mistake, but an alternative that was available. Actually, let's see what HotPepper was thinking about on this turn, right? What did we consider but not do? Nothing. I can't see the time controls in analysis mode, apparently. Is that what this button does? No, it just hides the global chat for some reason. And this shows my friend list? I don't know why this is all here. Okay. So I don't know how fast HotPepper played this turn, but there were definitely some options available that you could try here. I don't like that we have so little real attack, right? The opponent has 5 permanent attack, and we have 2. It's awful. These Rhinos are cycling and sort of counteracting some of that, giving us temporary attack and temporary defense. But it just feels so bad to be this far behind in attack. And we're defending with Rhinos, right? Before they're even done attacking, so yuck. We finally get in a Blood Rager. But now our Rhinos are tired, so we're only attacking for 4. Do we Blood Rager again? I mean, it could be good, right? I think a Blood Rager is pretty good value here. I guess we're really committed to this plan of building a Frostbite every turn, huh? Is that what's happening? We missed one turn, didn't we? Yeah. But Frostbite Tarsier. So, building a Blood Rager gives the opponent 2 health, right? And then it attacks for 2 every turn. So next turn, compare a Blood Rager to a single Tarsier. Next turn, the opponent will have been given 2 health by us if we build a Blood Rager, but they'll also take 2 additional damage, right? So they'll even out. They'll have to defend for the same amount. The turn after that, the Tarsier will finally arrive from the Tarsier plan, but it will do 1 less damage than Blood Rager. So next turn, Blood Rager and Tarsier are even. The turn after, Blood Rager is ahead. Well, of course, you should expect to be ahead from a more expensive unit. And going for the weaker one instead, let us get a Frostbite. is a... What is the value of this Frostbite? This spends one less dollar than the Blood Rager play. And 2 turns from now, we have dealt 1 more damage with the Blood Rager line, and have 1 more permanent attack, but we have 1 less Frostbite. So the question is, it's very much like building 2 Tarsiers this turn. This Blood Rager is, in fact. If we imagine building a Blood Rager here, it's very much like building 2 Tarsiers for $7. So the question is, we're sort of saying, by building a Frostbite here, that Frostbite Tarsier is spending $6 for a Tarsier and a Frostbite. Obviously. That's not very insightful. But we had the choice of spending $7 for 2 Tarsiers, which is what a Blood Rager would do, and not get the Frostbite. So, in a way, like, by building a Tarsier here, we're saying Tarsiers are worth at least $4 right now, right? Clearly, we're building one. And if so, shouldn't we jump at the chance to buy 2 of them for $3.50 each? Is Frostbite really that good? We're sort of saying, like, I wouldn't even buy a Tarsier if it cost 3 by building a Frostbite here. Oh, restart analysis. It's this turn, right? Yeah. But we're saying that actually a $2 Frostbite is better than a $3 Tarsier, but a $4 Tarsier, yeah, sign me up. Now, I mean, this is not completely incoherent. You could just think Frostbites are really, really good right now, but then shouldn't you just buy 2 of them and forget the Tarsier? I don't know. This doesn't seem totally consistent to me. It seems like if you think Tarsier is good, then you should buy a Blood Rager instead, because it's 2 Tarsiers with a discount at the moment. So, there's that. And, yeah. So that's something to keep in mind, is if your opponent has, like, just as a general rule, if you're thinking of a Blood Rager, and the Blood Rager would deal 2 damage, then that Blood Rager is exactly as good as 2 Tarsiers. Exactly. You deal the same amount of damage this turn and over the next turn and a half, or next 2 turns, you deal the same amount of damage as if you had built 2 Tarsiers. And then the turn after that, you deal the same amount of damage as if you'd built 2 Tarsiers. And all turns forever, as if you'd built 2 Tarsiers. So that's something to think about when deciding, like, if you're only doing 0 or 1 real damage, Blood Rager is fantastic. If you're doing 2 real damage, it's the same as 2 Tarsiers with a discount. That's a good thing to remember that I often forget. And if you're doing 3 damage, Blood Rager is usually bad. It's worse than 2 Tarsiers. It deals 1 less damage in the long term than 2 Tarsiers. It's a bit cheaper, but still. Okay, so fine. I would Blood Rager here. I don't think that all these Frostbites are that important. The opponent isn't that breach vulnerable. They don't have anything with 1 health that we could breach besides Frostbites, which you wouldn't want to do. And the opponent builds whatever. We're paying more attention to what HotPepper's up to, of course. And what do we do on this turn? The enemy is threatening to attack for a little extra. Wall Husk feels pretty natural. That costs $7, leaves us with 6. With which Blood Rager is again good. Ah, but I have only 6, so I can't Blood Rager. Haha. Rhino is okay. Boy, the opponent's Rhinos feel a lot better than ours, don't they? What are you doing? Oh, that Rhino can attack. I missed it. Okay, yes, sure. Oh, I take back what I said about the enemy Rhinos being better. Oh my god, skip this guy's turn. It's taking forever. Let's skip. So we blocked. We're attacking for 6. Clearly we have to defend. We can't do anything crazy like double Blood Rager here. Wall Rhino Husk just barely defends, I guess. You're sort of forced into that line. Kind of wish we had some more reds so we could like build 3 husks instead of a Rhino or something like that. Well, 2 husks is like better than a defending Rhino. Now we're being attacked for 13, which is all real, sort of. Means we have to produce 6 defense. I guess that's Wall Rhino Husk again? Yeah. Wall Rhino Husk. Yeah, both players are attacking for 7. Pretty, like, for a long time, quite sustainably attacking for 7, huh? And Wall Rhino Husk is exactly how you defend that. The difference is, I guess, that we have just slightly less defense lying around because we didn't get the Rhinos started as soon, I think. And therefore, we're having to hold back drones. On the other hand, we're up drones, so it's not so bad to use them as protection against the threat of attack. But this game is kind of going nowhere. Both sides are not making any real progress, right? They're able to cycle Rhinos effectively. They're attacking for 7. Ah. No. HotPepper, because of these drone holds, cannot Wall Rhino Husk forever. Right? Also, the enemy has gotten up to 8 attack because of better Rhino usage. So we're sort of in a losing spot here, right? At this point, I feel like if we make... Get out of here, 7. If we make this play, aren't we sort of just, like, gradually getting worse? The enemy is attacking for more. We don't really have a way to fix that. And we're able to... We're gaining 1 less gold and 1 less dollar every turn. I would be trying to find a way to get out of it here. Like, maybe there isn't one, but this isn't going to work. I think that one approach would be this. Oh, the opponent's attacking for 8 plus 9. Ah, no, only 8 plus 6 is 14. And 8 plus 8, right, is the most they could freeze? 16. So here, we offer the opponent a breach for exact. This is part of how you would like to play against Chill, is by defending in this way, you protect yourself against a breach. Fine. Your opponent cannot in any way breach you. But you make it very, very easy for your opponent to decide whether to click Frostbites. They definitely should not click Frostbites here. If you do something like this, yeah, they should probably click the Frostbites, right? Freeze 2 walls and a Rhino, give you no absorb, kill a Rhino with charges, and kill a Tarsier. Seems pretty good value for them. But if you do this, it's not great for them, right? Like, they can do this and breach for exact. And that's, you know, that's kind of bad for us. But it relieves the frostbite pressure, right? And suddenly we have a lot of spare defense lying around. We can take this opportunity to build some attack. We can't double Blood Rager, even though we have 6 attack. But also, like, it's really hard for the opponent to defend if they go in like this, isn't it? Maybe not that hard. Wall, Rhino, Husk. Yeah, that still defends. But we've got time now. We could build like a couple Tarsiers in a wall, maybe, even, right? We've been given a bit of a break. So, you know, is this line winning? I don't know. But the line that was actually taken seems like it's just gonna lose. Like, right, because the opponent has more attack and more gold. And we're just making it clear that they should not click their frostbites. We're making their decisions easy. And slowly falling behind. I think this is the kind of spot where you want to try to find a middle road that is okay value if they use their frostbites that you're okay with. It would help, of course, not to have Tarsiers. You could offer a better gambit, perhaps, but I think this is the best shot to survive, rather than like getting into this loop where your opponent's just attacking for a little more and you're defending for a little less, and eventually you die, which is what I think is going to happen if we continue making breaches impossible. And again, yeah, now we're holding 3 drones. I see. Now we are offering this little miniature gambit, right? Okay. If we'd done it sooner, I think we could have gotten a little more advantage out of it, but okay. Well done noticing, or, you know, I guess it's nice to see that you agree with me. I think we could have done this a bit sooner. Fine. Oh, I don't like using this time to build more Tarsier, or more Rhinos and Frostbites, though. We have so much defense lying around, right? With these 3 Rhinos that we're not even defending with for a while. I would rather be building attack. In fact, why did we build a wall? Why not like Tarsier, Steel Splitter, Frostbite or something, right? Or Husk, maybe, even. The Blood Rager is clearly bad, but Rhino, Frostbite, Wall? I don't get it. It seems very short term. What we need is more attack, and Rhino, I don't know. Maybe Tarsier is too greedy, but if it is, then we're just gonna lose, right? We need to hope that the game goes on long enough for Tarsier to get value, now that the opponent has relieved pressure by clicking the Frostbites. We're not gonna get much by breaching, I don't think. And so this Rhino and Frostbite to apply more pressure, I don't like it. And especially, oh my god, the enemy is out of walls. This 4th Frostbite is awful. I think. Because it's going to start freezing less and less. Ugh, I don't like it. The enemy is getting an exploit against us, perhaps, as well? No, they're attacking for 8. I guess they can't. We have enough... if they could attack for 13, they could exploit, but that's clearly impossible. Now Tarsiers. Yeah, see, you should have reversed the order of these things. I think. And, like, not gotten this Frostbite. I don't know, I guess this Rhino is arriving just about in time to defend. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe the Tarsier is too greedy. But if so, this one's even worse, isn't it? I guess we're out of Rhino supply, is that the problem? Yeah. Okay, well, probably should have been a Conduit then, instead of a Tarsier? Like, if you think you're in a spot where you have to build Rhinos on turn 14, then I think a Tarsier on 15 is wrong. Float the red, buy a Conduit, or something. Or Engis. Husks, I guess. Because if you're building a Tarsier now, you should have built it earlier, and then the Rhino now, I think. But alright, fine. Moving on. Yeah, and we're still just sort of attacking for less than the opponent. These Frostbites are not getting any value. And I guess we're buying Steel Splitters as non-prompt walls at this point? Yuck. I mean, you know, it happens. I'm not saying it's wrong, it just feels bad. Wait, what? Oh, yes, this is the mistake he mentioned. On turn 17, he forgot to unclick a Frostbite. So wait, this was a single action to freeze all of these. Well, that can't be right. That's not possible. Huh, okay. But then, I don't understand how Analyze Mode is making this freeze a single action, but the unfreezes into separate actions. Anyway, yes, this is obviously a mistake, and he mentions that. Threw away a Frostbite. Says it couldn't possibly have impacted the outcome. But... wouldn't having 2 more freeze here be pretty cool? 9... We kind of have to lose an attacker here, don't we? 2, 5, 7, 8. Yeah, so you have to lose an attacker or not absorb. Or I guess absorb onto Rhino. Then you have 3, 5, 8, 9. So we could attack for 9 and freeze for 7, 8. That's a breach for exact. If we had another Frostbite, we could freeze another Rhino with it. That would be a breach for 2, killing a Blood Rager. Or allow us to actually lose the Rhino and still breach for 1, killing a Tarsier? Or, if we do that, we're leaving the Steel Splitter alive, so... maybe we would lose the Rhino, attack for 8, freeze for... I see. The Frostbite doesn't help unless you want to freeze the Steel Splitter. But maybe that's okay. Attack for 8, freeze for 3, 6, 8, 10. Breach for a Tarsier. It's not great, and also we're not going to be able to defend after that. Okay, I mean, I don't know. Maybe we are dead at this point. Okay, and I guess this is the game over. He was thinking of buying Frostbites, bought Husks, and then gave up. Okay. So... you know, what... how can we summarize the problems here? I think I would rather have mirrored the blue, or you could try to go Centurion. Like, I concluded in the pre-analysis that I think the red stuff with Flame Animuses should beat Centurion, but it's a lot easier for player 1 to do, right? And it might not be that easy to actually do all this stuff. Maybe Centurion is just still good. In either case, I think we'd rather get a Flame Animus. It's just so crazy. This sort of low econ Tarsier thing doesn't feel like it's going to stand up too well against this. And we got a Frostbite, which is fine. Feels like we got Rhinos and Frostbites a little early, right? I just hate having 2 attack when the opponent has 5. I don't know. The opponent's not bought Frostbites yet, so... Oh yeah, right. This is the turn where I suggested building a Husk instead and optionally holding a drone, depending on what else you want to do. Defending with Rhino just sucks. Is it strictly better to lose a drone? I mean, no. I guess not. Yeah, we get this Blood Rager, very lovely. Here's the turn where I think we should have gotten another Blood Rager instead of the Tarsier Frostbite and try to get some actual attack going. I think we're just already way behind at this point because we're attacking for 4 and the enemy is attacking for 4, 5, 6, 7 kind of. Like, actually attacking for 7. Some of it's temporary, but they'll have a Rhino chain going. And we're gonna have to make some sacrifices to catch up to this. You know, we're trying to use Frostbites to level the playing field, make the opponent defend instead of attack, but we just don't have enough damage. So I would have preferred the Frostbite, or yeah, the Frostbite and Tarsier to be a Blood Rager. I think we should have offered this Gambit a turn earlier. And been a bit more greedy once the opponent accepts the Gambit. Because we're only winning if... Our best advantage right now is we have a ton of defense. It is not the fact that we have 4 Frostbites, I don't think. Yeah, sure, these are nice. But also, like, the 5th Frostbite is not nice. The 4th Frostbite is just bad. I don't like it at all. The opponent doesn't have enough walls for this to get value. Our main advantage is that we have a turn or 2 of breathing room to build attackers. And spending that time on a Rhino and a Frostbite and a wall just doesn't feel right to me. We're in probably bad shape anyway, but I'd rather try something that could win instead of doing this, which is just delaying losing, I think. Likewise, you know, why I think we should have offered the drone hold Gambit sooner is sort of delaying losing instead of trying to find a way to win. And then, I don't know, after this, it doesn't super matter. Okay, well, cool game. I'd be interested to see how it goes with the Centurion versus Absorb Denial lines. But I guess if you guys want to see that, you'll have to grab the replay code from the description and play it yourselves, I guess. Oh my god, an hour. What an episode. I got really involved in this one. There was a lot to look at, I guess. Well, that's what I get for not having my timer visible while I'm recording, huh? Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.